All right, ladies and gentlemen, the president has come out a couple hours ago, and he basically updated us that basically he has utilized the Defense Production Act to help persuade, compel, whatever word you would like to use for GM, because apparently there were some disagreements over ventilation production, as well as Boeing has allowed the U.S. forces responding to COVID-19 to utilize the world's largest transport plane. Let's go to the president and see what he has to say, followed by Mr. Peter Navarro. He'll be in charge of the Corona Task Force as far as the Defense Production Act and procurement goes. Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Great to have you.
Good to be here.
And thank you all for being here. My administration is taking new action to ensure that America has the medical resources and equipment needed to fight the global pandemic. It's been a brutal pandemic for over 150 countries all over the world. We've had great success over the last month. As you know, the millions and millions of pieces of equipment have been delivered successfully by us, purchased and delivered, and we've made it available to the states. And the governors have been very gracious for the most part, I would say. There are a couple that aren't appreciative of the incredible job they have to do.
So folks are accessing it now.
That's
Apparently,
the problem.
somewhere in a warehouse and people didn't know.
Generally speaking, I have to tell you, the governors have been great. I just spoke to the governor of New Jersey, Governor Murphy, and he's very thankful, and Governor Cuomo has been very nice. They've really appreciated, I think, what the federal government has done. You look at the hospitals that are being built all over the country by the Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA. It's been really incredible. Nobody's seen it. They'll build hospitals in 2 or 3 days, portable hospitals. This afternoon, I invoke the Defense Production Act to compel General Motors to accept, perform, and prioritize federal contracts for ventilators. Ventilators are a big deal, and we've delivered thousands of them, and oftentimes you don't need ventilators very much. Hospitals don't have very many, and now we're turning out that we have to produce large numbers, but we've been able to do that, and we're going to be doing a lot more.
Saves lives.
This invocation of the DPA should demonstrate clearly to all that we will not hesitate to use the full authority of the federal government to combat this crisis. We thought that we had to deal with, as an example, General Motors, and I guess they thought otherwise. They didn't agree, and now they do. They do agree, and I think we
don't really have a choice
to pull it, but we let them know the way we felt, and they can't be doing that.
Apparently, it's a cost issue.
We'll work in partnership with the private sector, but where an emergency exists, and it's very important that we get to the bottom line, and quickly we will do what we have to do and immediately exercise all available lawful authorities to get the job done. This afternoon, I also signed an executive order investing, and very, very strongly investing, the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Homeland Security with the full authorities available under the Defense Production Act to respond to the outbreak of the terrible virus, the invisible enemy, as we say. My order also establishes that Peter Navarro, a very trusted person from the White House, and he's done an incredible job for me in terms of negotiation, in terms of understanding where the world is going economically.
Being put in charge.
But my order establishes that Peter will serve as National Defense Production Act policy coordinator for the federal government. That's a very important position. More important probably than it's almost ever been in our country.
So he's the DPA czar.
And so I want to congratulate Peter and his family. I know he's going to do a fantastic job. He's been doing that job over the last few weeks. Peter is a PhD in economics from Harvard, has a master in public administration from the Kennedy School, also from Harvard. And he's a tremendous guy, and he will do a fantastic job. And I'd like to maybe ask, before I continue, Peter to say a few words, please. Peter?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Navarro.
And of course, you know the Harvard joke. You can tell a Harvard man, you just can't tell them much, right?
You can't tell
So, Anyway, on a serious note, let me just give you a little idea of the Defense Production Act and why it is so important. We are engaged in the most significant industrial mobilization since World War II. We have a wartime president fighting an invisible enemy, and we have the full force of government coupled with the full power of private enterprise bearing down on this problem for the American people, sir. What we had to do today with President Trump's order with respect to General Motors, I want to give you a little background on that. We need industrial mobilization to make adequate ventilators, particularly in the very short run, to help the people of New York, Detroit, New Orleans, Chicago, Denver, Seattle, all around this country as this virus bears down. And the ventilators really are the most important thing for patients who become most seriously ill. They are literally the lifeline for people.
Life or death.
And I've personally been working with FEMA, and I've been working with HHS and over 10 ventilator companies, making sure we can get what we need as quickly as possible.
That's the thing, we're asking
and
to ramp up.
virtually every one of those companies has been cooperative, patriotic, moving in Trump time, which is to say as soon as possible, sir. But we did have a problem with GM and Ventec. On the one hand, we had Ford and GE moving forward on a similar kind of project, patriotically moving as fast as possible.
So they said yes.
Over the last several days, we ran into roadblocks with GM. We cannot afford to lose a single day, particularly over the next 30 to 60 days.
It's a cost factor.
President
Government
Trump
owns it.
invoked the Defense Production Act as a way of enhancing and accelerating this mobilization. I salute him for doing so. It's
Well, they
going
don't
to make
have a
my
choice.
job so much easier. For the most part, we've had tremendous cooperation from the private sector. Today, sir, was the right day to do it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. And good luck. My administration is marshaling the full power of the American government, and we will do that, and that's what we've done, and we will continue to do it until our war is won. Economic, scientific, medical, military, and homeland security, all of this to vanquish the virus. We are working to sign contracts immediately with the major ventilator companies in the country, including GE, Philips, Medtronic, Hamilton, Zoll, RedMed, Hillrom, and
It's the thing. We're
Vyaire.
all in this.
These are all companies that do this, great companies. The FDA will be reducing and waiving unnecessary regulations in order to get this done. We're going to be getting rid of certain, let's say, barriers to speed. We want them to get it done quickly. They've been doing it for a long time. They've been making ventilators for a long time. Hopefully General Motors will join in the fray. Under the normal condition that you would be, regular times, 29,000 ventilators are distributed in the United States each year.
Okay.
In the next 100 days, well, first of all, we've already delivered thousands of them. But within the next 100 days, we will either
some have
make
been
or
delivered,
get
but
in some form over 100,000 additional units. And I guess to put it in other words, in the next 100 days, we'll receive over 3 times the number of ventilators made during a regular year in the United States. And that doesn't include all of the thousands and thousands that we've given to the various states, a lot of them. We delivered thousands, as you know, to New York, and they didn't know they got them. And then
apparently it was in a warehouse in
we also
Jersey.
had thousands put in a warehouse, and that was also for New York, and they just found out that they were there. So we have to make sure that
Communication,
when we
folks.
deliver things, they get
Communication.
distributed.
These are lives.
Earlier today, I spoke to the CEO of Boeing, Dave Calhoun, and Boeing will be producing and donating face shields to help our medical professionals on the front lines. These are actually pretty intricate in terms of the plastic and the quality of the materials. They're important. They've got to be top of the line, and they're going to do thousands of these a week. They've already tested the production, and they're ready to begin producing all of these shields. That's the plastic shields that go over the face. Well, Boeing is also offering us the use of their, what they call the Dreamlifter cargo plane.
Check this out.
It's the largest plane in the world. And this sort of a picture of it they called up just a little while ago.
That's freaking
Can
huge.
sort of take anything.
Look
That's
at that.
the biggest in the world. And they're letting us use that for the distribution of product all over the country, especially the heavy product or large quantities of product.
Right.
And Boeing will dedicate up to 3 planes to the mission of flying medical supplies
Thank you.
anywhere we need it. Each plane can carry 63,000 pounds of cargo per flight. That's a lot of cargo. I also
like 30
signed
tons.
an executive order giving the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security the authority to activate the ready reserve components of the armed forces.
So
This
thing
will
we're calling
allow
up the
us to
reserves.
mobilize medical, disaster, and emergency response personnel to help wage our battle against the virus by activating thousands of experienced service members, including retirees. We have a lot of people, retirees, great military people. They're coming back in
Had experience.
who have offered to support the nation in this extraordinary time of need. And they come back in. They don't say how much. They don't say, what are we getting paid? They just want to come back in. It's really an incredible thing to see. It's beautiful.
I'm actually going to stop the president's remarks right there just before we go too long. But just to reiterate quickly, the president has actually enacted the Defense Production Act on General Motors. Apparently there was a dispute there that Mr. Navarro was kind of going over a little bit. They go into a little bit. Apparently it was a cost function. Here's the thing, these emergency times, if you're running in the red, let people know. People are watching. People will remember this. If all of a sudden you step up, it's like, oh, I remember when GM stepped up. Maybe I'll consider getting a GM style vehicle. That's the thing. Boeing. Oh, you're donating the use of the frickin' just dream carrier and stuff like that. That's frickin' cool. Okay, we're paying attention there. As well as what the president just wrapped up with there. Basically, he's pulling up the reserves. We ain't messing around with this. We're going to have folks all over these United States working to battle this. We just got to do the best we can. And for a lot of folks, it's tough because a lot of folks are out of work, and we just gotta stay at home and keep ourselves going. And this is the thing, you never know where a good idea may come from. I'm just seeing all these different little things, people coming up with these cool ideas, new ways of like multi-using respirators and stuff. I'm like, I think somebody just literally just came up just with a little system, like maybe something somebody hadn't considered before. Here's the thing, we have the vast quantity of like the knowledge of humanity. If we actually get over ourselves and look past our differences, tell me we can't accomplish something. That's all I got for right now. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe, and long live the elbow bump.